What's up? Welcome to episode 32 of Peon Podcast. On today's episode, we have Erika Chan, who used to be the pastry chef at Rustic Canyon during Andy Dubrava's time. And most recently it was at Dunsmore in California. Now she is in Nashville at the Catbird seat with Andy and Tiff. So if you haven't heard, they announced recently that Catbird seat, which does 1 to 2 year residencies of chefs, just appointed Andy and Tiff, aka Slow Burn, as their new chef team, and Erika is joining them as the pastry side. And man, that's going to be an incredible team. I had no idea that Andy and Tiff had landed in Nashville, even though I'd seen them doing a lot of Nashville-y things. It never clicked in my head. I don't know. I just maybe I don't pay attention in that way. But I'm excited for them, for one, because as I've said in the past, like whenever they have their own restaurant, I think it's going to be one of the best in the country, not just because of the food they put out and how much fun they have with it and how much levity and lightness is behind it, but also because of obviously how much waste they utilize and how much they give a shit about people and the environment. And aside from how incredible their food is and how creative it is, and then you add Erika to the mix, and it takes it to a whole other level. Yeah, it's just going to be incredible. And then I'm selfishly excited because I live pretty close. So a little hop, skip, and a jump to Nashville, and I can be there trying all that food as much as I want. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also, I mean, like I've said before, their restaurant's going to be great, not just because of all that stuff, but because they're incredible people, and I've only known a few great, like truly great hosts in my life, and like people who are exceptionally good at hospitality. You know, an old buddy of mine in Michigan, who also worked with Andy out in California when they were traveling there. DK from DK Sushi and Andy and Tiff, like they just make you feel at home. And when you see people like that, you're like, man, hospitality really is like a talent you can be born with. It's like like hospitality savant. They just treat you right and make you feel so at home, as if the restaurant's their house, you know. And when I went to, I went to the 2 dinners that they did in Austin, the one at the Made In, which of course felt like somebody's home because it was like, you know, their dinner, and then also at Emma and Rye, and I still felt just as at home, you know. And they made it as if that was their restaurant, and it was just so chaotic because it was so busy, but it made it feel very homey. And yeah, I've said this many times, and I say it in this episode as well, that I mean I can't say enough good shit about Andy and Tiff and Slow Burn, but that was like the first time I had that dinner at Emma and Rye and at Made In when I was like, oh shit, okay, Andy and Tiff are doing. There's finally some sort of spark of a new generation, a new something happening in America, at least with the restaurant industry, because man, we are just stuck right now. And I get it. We're all scared because of the pandemic, because the economy's shit, because no one wants to spend money, and maybe the food scene got a little bloated, not just in the amount of restaurants, but also in the amount of crazy items we put on menus that aren't accessible to most people, but I just think it's time for a shakeup. I want somebody to take a big risk and like really shake some shit up. There are restaurants, of course, doing that in LA and New York, but it's not really happening to my knowledge in the middle of the country. I think Catbird Seat is doing something like that, but we need to shake up some kind, not just in the way that restaurants exist and how they operate, but also in the food we're putting out and the way that we think about dining, We need it. We need that. I know David Chang's not really good, seen as a pretty good guy right now in the zeitgeist, but I think I always go back to that moment when like Momofuku came out, or when he was launching Momofuku, and it's like everything was so tight and it was one dimensional. And then he's like, let's fucking just break out the mold and let's do something totally different, you know? I feel like we're on the verge of that. And I think Andy and Tiff and Erica are definitely at the vanguard of that. So yeah, I really hope that, and there's a lot of people watching them, thankfully. So I think, you know, they're gonna break the doors wide open. At least that's what I hope. So I'll keep this intro short. I did a little longer intro as a Patreon exclusive. So if you want to hear that and hear about my trip to New York, then you can go to patreon.com/Peon magazine. That is, I'm hopefully going to keep up with that and do some like exclusive intros and stuff for the episodes that are released a week early. And yeah, I will see you in 2 weeks with something new. I don't know what it is. We'll have to figure it out. I got deathly ill the other day, so I didn't have much time to do any work. But I'm back up and running, 100% now, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm excited. All right, enjoy this episode. It's a fantastic one. Erika is an incredible person, incredible chef. So follow her. And make sure you follow what they're all doing out in Nashville at Caprid Sea. It's going to be incredible. All right. Enjoy this episode. Have a great day. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye. So is this your day off, or your only day off this week?
No, I do Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but just Wednesday I like go to the market and like do a whole thing. So Tuesdays are like my
okay,
clean up my life shit days.
yeah. I know that. I know all about that. Yeah, I'm in a process of moving, so all my days are taken up by that kind of shit.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Are you in
Yeah,
Los Angeles? I don't even know where you are.
No, I'm in Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Where are you moving
Central.
to?
Yeah, Austin, another part of Austin.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. I wish it was somewhere else, but it's fine. Yeah. Have you ever been to Austin?
I've never been to the entirety of Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's. I usually just start at the beginning. So, like, where did you get into the service industry? Do you remember like what inspiration or situation made you get into the industry?
Well, I started. I don't really remember. I feel like I always knew I wanted to cook. My
Okay.
family's like very, very like food centric. None of them really were huge bakers, but like for some reason I just kind of gravitated towards it, like baking for like soccer team shit and like friends and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then I wanted to like go to normal college, and so did my parents. So I went to school in the Bay and I studied nutrition, and then like on like holidays I'd come home to my parents' place and I would like work at a bakery, like over like winter
Oh
break
yeah.
and summer vacation. And so I
Yeah.
did that, and then after I graduated I did a dietetic internship at Mass General Hospital for a year. And then as
Oh
soon
wow.
as I
So that's
finished that
like.
program, I started, well, like as I was finishing, I started like staging, and that just led to a job. And so then I just started working.
Well, what made you just make that switch? Do you remember?
Well, to be honest, when I was like applying to school, I like had heard it's better to not be undecided because you just have a better chance of getting into college. So I like checked the box on nutritional science. And because I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this sounds like food. And I just quickly realized
Food-ish.
it was like
Yeah.
it's like all metabolism. It's a pre-med major essentially. So it was
Yeah.
super interesting and I loved it, but it wasn't necessarily like, I don't want to tell people what to eat.
Yeah. Do you do you think about that stuff still, or like use any sort of that thought process for any cooking that you do now?
I think I did like a lot of the science parts of my education are definitely useful.
Yeah.
As far I mean, it's like
Like,
food is just science, and I think I was
okay.
really lucky to take some of those classes and to learn those like things and to understand just like biology and chemistry because again, these all come into cooking. So in
Yeah.
that
Do
way,
you have
yes.
any like sort of examples of how that sort of plays in? I'm curious how that sort of
Let
ties
me
in.
think. I feel like I was just talking about something the other day and I was like trying to explain it to someone and then it kind of made sense to me when I tried to think of an actual example. Oh,
It's
well, I
okay.
was trying to figure out how to make okay, so I'm working on this like chocolate mayonnaise cake. Have you ever had it or you heard of it?
No. No, what is
It's
that?
like kind of a depression era thing, and it's just chocolate cake. Like you wouldn't know when you eat it, but there's mayonnaise folded
Huh.
into the batter, which makes sense. Mayonnaise is just an
Okay.
emulsification of oil and
Yeah.
egg, which goes into cake anyway.
Yeah.
But it keeps it super, super moist.
Yeah.
Um, so I work at this place that's like it's very heritage, like the whole American heritage cookery is like our thing. So I wanted to put on a chocolate mayonnaise cake, but then of course I want to make my own mayo. So I was working on an aioli, and then I was thinking about like how you usually use Dijon as an emulsifying agent for aioli,
Mhm. Yeah.
and especially because we do all our stuff by hand. So I was like, I actually need something to like bind it, and so I was thinking about other emulsifying agents, and then there was like honey, but then we were just thinking about other things that can emulsify, and it was like for some reason garlic's an emulsifying agent, so we were like,
Yeah.
is there an enzyme in it, and how does an enzyme emulsify fat, and
Oh, okay.
you know what I mean? So just
Yeah.
things like
So
that,
you're
and like
getting deep
to
down into
understand
like
like what,
how yeah.
yeah,
That's really interesting. Okay. And like knowing some stuff about nutrition and food science, of course, must help with that. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
and just like how emulsification actually works, and like what other
mhm.
things could emulsify because like they're charged, and you need to be able to bind water, and then also the fat, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Those scientific terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Clearly, I know a lot. Clearly, I still remember what I
yeah.
learned.
Yeah. So what point in college did you say like kind of fuck this, or did you start staging? Was there like a conscious idea, or did you just need a job and you're like, all right, I'll go into restaurants?
I just knew I wanted to cook. I knew I wanted to do pastry. Um, I'm trying to think. I think it was just like my first summer home. I needed a job. Like I wanted to work over my break, so I like
Hmm.
started working at this bakery, and then yeah, it wasn't necessarily that I was like fuck school. Like I cared so much about school, and I knew I wanted to like pursue whatever that was, but it wasn't going to be end game kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
I what else? I don't know. Like I got a job at like International House when I was in college because like we got to like prep. So I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. You could cook a little bit.
I
I did
IHOP,
stage.
like
What's that?
International House of Pancakes? Is
Oh
that
my
what you
god,
mean?
lol. I
IHOP?
wish. No, I
Oh.
should have done that. I guess this is like normal for campuses to have like maybe it was just where I went, but like a international house where like this sounds sort of fucked up now that I'm saying it, but like where the international students are housed.
Oh, no, I didn't no, I don't
And
think UT
yeah,
has that. Yeah.
they had like
All
a
right.
restaurant and it was like a normal building it was like a nicer dormitory for
Okay.
the international students to like
Okay.
student housing.
Okay. Okay. And then there was like a food court or like a commercial kitchen there and stuff?
Yeah, there was like a
Yeah.
cafeteria, but it was like nicer. It was like sit down. I don't it's now that
Okay.
I'm describing the concept, it's quite odd, but
You're like, "Are they grouping everybody together?" Yeah. Yeah.
keep all the foreigners in one place, you know what I mean? Um, yeah, that's what happened. So,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to think. I staged at Chez Panisse, which was really sick. I was actually supposed to stage the day it burned down. I remember biking there, and I was like, "Oh, this
Whoa.
isn't good." So
Whoa.
yeah, and I didn't really stage anywhere else.
Did you, uh so you did actually stas at Chez Panisse?
Yeah, like two or three times maybe.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
It was great. It's like a very cool because it's like it's an old house, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I cleaned a lot of cardoons. It was like pretty. It wasn't like the most exciting prep work, but it was like cool to see. And
Mhm.
at the time, I was a baby, so I was like, "Oh, everything's cool," you know.
Did you end up going straight for, like, fine dining?
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of, like, staging, you knew you
Yeah.
wanted to do fine dining, pastry?
Yeah, I thought that was, like, definitely what I wanted to do forever, because then I was in Boston when I actually started, like, working in, like, real kitchens, and so, yeah, the first place I staged was Monton, which is Barbara Lynch's restaurant that unfortunately just closed,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I mean, because I think it was just kind of like, college overachieving, fine dining is, like, you know what I mean, like, the hardest thing to do and, like, the pinnacle of it
Yeah,
all,
of
so it's like
course.
just but then, yeah. Life is life and things change.
So is that's what drew you to fine dining was like just the how hard it is and like trying to overachieve in that sense?
I mean, looking back, I guess, yeah, right? Like or like if you're gonna do something, might as well try to do the hardest thing you can.
Exactly. Or yeah, do it at the highest degree, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did you end up getting a job at after college? Did you end up at a fine dining restaurant?
Yeah, so I did the yeah, Monton was my first job, um,
Okay, in
and it
Boston,
was
you said.
cool. It was like I'm trying to think of what we did. I think we had fuck, I'm trying to think of just the format of the menu. I wanna say it was we had an à la carte menu, but it was, like, prefix, so it was, like, choice of.
Mhm.
And then we
Yeah.
had, like, I think it was, like, a seven-course tasting menu, maybe with a dish like, an option to do, like, more. Um, but it was great. I was terrible. Um,
Yeah.
but I started on, like, bread, and it
Okay.
was cool, like, everyone would get, like, a mini baguette that was, like, that big, and, like, every day I
Oh,
would
that's
shake these
cute.
baguettes, and I had to, like, bring them to my chef, and he would just tell me all the things that were wrong with them. Um, but
Would you
yeah,
have to
and we
throw
did
them
these,
away,
like
or did you have to make them again, or did he just tell you what was wrong with it and then you fixed it the next day?
um, that's a good question. There was definitely times when, like, we had to remake stuff, but
Oh, yeah.
it was mostly just, like, tomorrow make it this, tomorrow make it this, and then yeah.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, and we did, like, little, like, croissants that were, like, that big to order. We would, like, bake them
Wow.
fresh for
Okay.
like, 2 turns for service,
Wow.
and then yeah, that was great. I stayed there for,
Why
like, 8 months, I think.
okay. Why specifically that restaurant? Were you just staging and that was the one that seemed most appealing?
Um, I don't even know if I staged anywhere else. I think it was just, like Boston's small, right? And I think there were, like, 3 fine dining restaurants in the city,
Oh, really?
and I guess
Yeah.
I just picked that one. Yeah, yeah.
Did you wait, but you were in the Bay Area for college?
Yeah, I went to college at Berkeley, and then I got my so for nutrition, there was, like, 2 paths. You could either do dietetics, which was, like, to become an actual dietitian, or it was, like I forgot what the other one was called, but it was basically more just metabolism, just, like, as a pre-med major. And
Mhm.
so I chose the dietetic one because it seemed more practical. And then at the end of that, you like apply for this matching process to do a year-long internship in either like a school or a hospital or a outpatient thing to become a dietitian. So I got matched with at Mass General. So I moved to
Oh, okay.
Massachusetts,
Oh,
did that
okay.
for a year, and then like as I was finishing up, then I started staging and looking for a restaurant job.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, and where did you end up after the 8 months was done?
I went to this restaurant called L'Espalier,
Okay.
which is
Not
now
familiar with that.
closed, but it was, like, incredible. It was, like, some
Also in
really, really
Boston?
yeah, also in Boston. So, yeah, some, like, really great chefs came out of there. It was also fine dining. It was, like, Frank McClellan was the chef, but he wasn't necessarily like he was, like, exec chef, but didn't he was not cooking. That place was crazy. We did all a la carte. We had, like, a seven-course tasting menu and then, like, a 13-course journey menu, and we would do, like, 300 covers on, like, a Friday
Whoa,
or Saturday with, like, 70% of them being tasting menus, and we did tea
that's
on weekends.
crazy.
We had, like, a fucking
Wow.
cheese cart. It was awesome.
That sounds like very classic restaurant. That's
It
pretty
does, I
cool.
feel like it doesn't exist anymore, right?
No, no, those places I think are gone unless it's like, I don't know, maybe New York, Boston. I mean, kind of the prime rib house in San Francisco is kind of like that, but
Yeah,
not a restaurant like that where it's like 300 covers, tasting, and cheese cart and all that kind of stuff. It's kinda gone.
yeah, unfortunately, but
Yeah. How long did you end up staying there?
I was there for a long time. There I was, like it was, like I think I was there for maybe, like, a year or 2, and then maybe 2 years, and then I left and like worked at this other place for a little bit, and like that didn't really work out, so I went back, and like my sous chef had become chef, and so I worked for her for like another year.
A pastry there as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you never had any like ambition to go savory at all, or did you experience any of that? No.
No, I do now.
Okay.
But not before. I don't know. I think I don't really enjoy savory prep so much, I think.
Okay. Definitely a different like
Yeah.
mode
You
and
cook,
vibe
right?
and stuff. Yes, I do. Yeah, I'm a chef here in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Always
but
savory or
always savory. Yeah. I was terrified of pastry, terrified. And then the last place I was at, Barley Swine, which is a fine dining restaurant in Austin here, they sort of, because of like people being out and stuff, I kind of got forced to do some pastry prep. And I was like, oh, it's not that scary. It's just a lot of measuring, a lot of, being careful. Still
yeah.
have no idea what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but
I don't think any of us do.
it's yeah, it's fun. I mean, we do a lot of, since it's just the three of us at my current job, we all have to make the pastries because we don't have a pastry chef, and so
Yeah.
like now I'm starting to understand how to actually make pastries from scratch. And sugar, I don't understand sugar. I don't get what it does or how it reacts to heat. I have no clue, but I'm figuring it out. Bread
Yeah.
making as well is confusing, but
It's the best way
it's
to
all a
learn.
learning experience.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Just
the best
getting in
way.
there. Yeah. Just
Gotta
fucking
make
it up.
things a bunch of times and then figure out how they don't work.
Exactly. Yeah. And then not understand how it works, but then try it again. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So after that place, did you end up staying in Boston?
So after that, I moved to Chicago. Um,
Wait, what timeline is this? What around what time were you in Chicago?
I'm so bad at years. I think about this all the time, and I'm like, I don't really know. It's pouring outside. Um,
Oh, dang.
I think it was like 2017, maybe.
Okay.
That makes
Okay. Wow.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
that was like peak Chicago fine dining in my head at least.
yeah, I
The
think I was
steaks and
actually like, I
stuff.
think I missed peak Chicago fine dining a little bit, although it's doing pretty well now.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, it is, but that was like the time when like Blackbird and like
oh,
Alinea were very, very like popular and everybody
that is
really
true.
focused on
Yeah,
them, you know? Yeah.
Blackbird is like it was my dream job forever, and my like one of
Same.
my best friends is the pastry chef there, and I was always like, Nicole, will you just quit? And then it closed, and I was like, God damn it, I'm never gonna be able to work there.
Yeah.
But
That place is
yeah,
amazing.
I think it was 2017. I moved there to work for my chef, he was the pastry chef at Les Ballier. Um,
Mhm.
and then I moved to Chicago to work for him at this place called Acadia, which was like if you just
Okay, that sounds
Google
familiar.
Acadia and read all the things, like it's all real. It was terrible.
Oh,
Uh,
no.
yeah,
Okay.
it was
Wait,
bad.
so you said the chef at your I'm sorry, what was it called?
Les Ballier?
Les Ballier. So
Yeah,
that chef left and you just followed them over there?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He became the pastry chef at Acadia, and I was like,
Okay.
there was two cooks. I was one of them, and it was like it was fun because his food's great and like we work very well together. But
Mhm.
it
What
was just
was
like a
the
really shitty restaurant.
who was the chef there?
Um, Ryan McCaskey.
I don't know that name.
Just literally,
Okay.
if you Google it, there's just like there's like eater articles about it. It's like it got
Oh, really?
86 hard.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't. I
So
mean, well, it was fine. I don't feel like personally traumatized, but like when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, this is really bad.
yeah. Yeah, when you're like part of it. I've talked to I talked to a guy that was one of the coffee makers at Alinea, and he was just talking about how he didn't really realize like the things that were happening there until he left. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the culture, when you're in that sort of culture, you don't really realize how fucked up it might be until you
yeah,
get out. Then you're like, wait, that was kind of fucked up.
yeah. You're like
Um,
this doesn't read so well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. What? Yeah. So what kind of stuff was happening there? I'm not familiar with that story at all.
um, I mean, there was like I'm trying to think of like examples that kind of I have one like really gnarly example, but I guess like like he would like post people's jobs while they were still there. And then they'd like come to him and be
Oh
like, "Hey,
wow.
like I saw my job is posted. Like,
Uh-huh.
what's up?" And he'd be like, "Oh, I'm just trying to like see what other talent there is." And it's like that's sort of fucked.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fucked up. Okay.
and then like okay, so like on the sous chef's last day, he like hired strippers so to come in after service. So then they like literally I didn't stay because I was like, I cannot. This is like so
Oh,
disgusting. But
you
they like
you saw it
tarped the PDR, like
oh
tarped the
wow.
floor of the PDR and like set up chairs and like
What the
just you
fuck?
can imagine what I was not there again because I just like couldn't
Yeah.
stomach it, but like you can just imagine the things that happen. It's like I don't want to see my chef like eating some chick out.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
And he's like not a cute dude either. He's like a smaller, squat, sad-looking man, older.
Oh.
It's just like
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Jesus. Okay. And that sounds horrible. Well, what was it like getting a ton of press and like was it super like was he living on like a lot of high praise or what? Or was he just like an egomaniac or
The
what was
weird thing
going
is
on
like,
there?
well, he was okay, so his parents were like loaded and like completely
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So like that's and it was weird because it was like it had 2 stars, but it was like we weren't that busy. Like there was nights when I remember doing like 12 covers. Um and the food I guess the food was decent, but to me, like, didn't there was no like real voice or like point of view. You
Uh-huh.
know, it was like fine dining y food, like lobstery things, caviar y things, like
Yeah.
fancy things. So it just, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And then now it's
Yeah.
closed. I think just mostly because it got canceled, but it just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you there for the canceling or did you get out of
I
that?
think that happened after I left.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely happened after I left.
Did your pastry chef end up like not being involved in that stuff, but like have to sort of be around that stuff? Because if you're the pastry chef, I imagine sort of
Yeah.
getting lumped in with that kind of shit sometimes.
I think he actually left before like the real cancellation happened. I mean,
Okay.
like he was the
Okay.
one whose job was posted. He's like, why is there a pastry chef
Oh
job
shit.
posted?
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he ended up I think he ended up like, he had to deal with Ryan and it like, he didn't like the dude, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like he like, nothing terrible happened, and then he ended up leaving, so it was fine. Yeah.
Okay. How did you end up how long did you end up staying there or
That was
tolerating that place? I guess that's a bigger question.
that was like it was again, I think, like 8 months.
Okay. All right. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say 2 years or something like that. I was like,
Oh, no, no, no.
that's
No, I was like, "This
okay.
is just not for me." I was like, "I do
Yeah.
not like it."
Were you looking at places the whole time you were there?
No, it was like it all sort of just happened. I mean, I there was actually a guy there who, had worked at are you familiar with Chicago?
A
Like,
little bit, yeah.
a little bit? Yeah, so he had worked at, Public and Quality Meats,
Okay, yeah.
and, like, I am a like, I love bread, like, I like to make it, I just love to eat it.
Yeah.
Um, and so he had worked there, and he had, like, staged or a couple days, I guess, with Greg Wade. If you've heard of him, he's like
I don't know Greg Wade, yeah.
he won a beard, I think maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. So Publican is like Publican the restaurant, and then there's like all these little there's Publican Quality Meats, which is like the butcher shop across the street that was
Yeah.
built to like supply Publican with to do all their butchery essentially, and then is also a little
Mhm,
market. And then across the street from that, there was Publican Quality Bread, which is Greg Wade, and he is like honestly makes the best bread I've ever had in my life. He's incredible. But so this dude was working at Acadia knew Greg, and I was like, hey, could I stage? So I went and I staged with Greg a day, which was really
mhm,
cool. And then he shared a space with the pastry team for Publican.
mhm.
And at the time, Dana Cree was the pastry chef, and I was like, oh damn, like that's crazy. She's so cool. So I was like, okay, I should stage with Dana. And then I had emailed Dana, and she was like, we don't really just do stages, but I'm actually hiring a sous chef. And I was like, oh my god, to get to work for Dana Cree would be incredible. So then I did
Yeah.
that, and then it all just kind of fell into place
Oh, so you ended up being the sous chef there.
at Publican. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. I've followed Publican for a long time, just kind of in the background, but it fascinates me. It's
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 a
an incredible place.
the place is wild. that place, like, it's awesome, and you get to work with so many really, really cool people, and it, like, kicks your butt. I'm sure you've probably worked at a place like this where you're like, once you work there, you can sort of figure out any job,
Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Yeah, of course, yeah. It took me a while to work for that place, but then, yeah, once you run through all those stations, you're just like, "Oh, there's nothing that scares me now. I can do whatever
Yeah,
the hell I want."
unfazed.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
because I imagine that place is an animal. Like you said, it's got, like, a butcher shop, and then it's, like, making bread. It's like how many seats is it? How big is that place, actually?
The actual restaurant, it's, like, different now because now
Okay.
so it used to be, like, Publican, and then across the street was PQM, and then across the block was the bakery where Greg and Pastry would produce, and so we would, like, run stuff over to the other locations, but then
Yeah.
they shut down the bakery and moved it to, like, a different part of Chicago, so now
Oh,
and
okay.
pastries are coming out of, like, a different restaurant in the group, so it's a little
Okay.
different now, but Publican itself, I don't know how many seats it is, maybe, like, 100?
Wow.
But we used
Yeah.
to do, like, on when we were, like, good, we would do, like, 300 or so, 350 on weekends. It
Wow.
was busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang, yeah. That's insane. I can't imagine working in a place like that.
It was fun.
Uh,
It was a lot of fun.
yeah. So you were the pastry sous there?
Yeah, the
Or
pastry stew. Yeah.
okay, okay. And was that your first, like, chef position? Your
Yeah.
first time, like, having, like, some responsibility? How did that feel to you in terms of, like,
Um,
switch?
it was great. I mean, it was weird because it was the first time that I didn't do fine dining, and it was, like, way more casual than I was used to, which was cool and comes with its own, like, frustrations and challenges, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but, like, yeah, we had, like, 4 pastry cooks, which is crazy now to think about a team of, a
Whoa.
pastry chef, a sous chef, and 4 cooks, like, that just doesn't exist.
No.
Um,
Yeah, especially for pastry.
yeah, right? It's insane.
Yeah.
Um, but it was amazing, like, I learned to manage, and then she's, like, one of the smartest people I've ever met. She has all these systems, and she taught me how to, like, write a recipe and just how to, make it so that things operate correctly without you putting your hands on everything, which is really hard as a chef because I've like actually reverted backwards, I feel like, where I'm like, I don't want to manage people. I don't want to teach people how
Yeah,
to,
so you
but
just do it all yourself, is that what you're saying, instead of,
yeah,
like, delegating and stuff? Yeah, that is a hard thing to do.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I learned so much from her. I learned like a ton about how to chef at that job. It was great.
interesting, yeah, yeah. How long did you stay at that place?
A long time. Or maybe not that long. Like, I think I was there for like 3.5, 4 years total
Wow.
because like a year or maybe yeah like 8 months into me being there, Dana, I didn't know this, but her whole plan, all because like she was Blackbird, she had done her thing.
Mhm.
um Her whole plan was to open her ice cream shop, which she now owns, which is called Pretty Cool. You should talk
Okay.
to Dana also if you ever want to do a thing with her because
Okay.
she's like
Yeah, I'd
coolest
love
person.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
she's awesome. So had been like planning her ice cream shops, and so she left me and was like, "Hey, do you want to be chef?" So then I took her position,
Oh, wow,
which
after
was
8 months?
yeah, I know, I was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, um, but it was great. And I still like talk to her, but so then I stayed there as chef for like maybe 2 or 3 more years. I can't really remember.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
all a blur?
yeah, really, because then it's led straight into pandemic. So then it was just like, you know,
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, and who knows what happened with
no
time
one
at that
knows.
point. Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
knows.
So, so wait, so you went all the way up to the pandemic, which is what, like 2000, geez, I always, yeah, 2020. Speaking of, like, confusing years, I think
Yeah,
2020, right?
yeah. Again, my
Wow,
timeline is
yeah.
probably all off because
Okay.
I'm just really bad with years. I really don't know. I
Yeah.
could figure it out, but I don't. Yeah, have the energy to.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So I stayed there
Okay.
like through closing and then reopening and then like to go. And then I think I was a little bit longer than that. And then I just like could not.
So what was the pandemic like for a place like that? Like, do you remember the day when you couldn't come into work?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Wow, I don't actually remember like shutting down. Maybe I kind of do. We like slow How did the pandemic work? Did we like slowly close or did we just like Oh, I do remember I remember our last
Kind
service.
of slowly. Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was
We
that
had
like?
like 7 reservations.
Oh yeah, you start to see it all like happen. You're like, wait,
Yeah.
something's happening right now. Yeah.
It was yeah. I remember that, yeah. And then we shut all the way down. Um I think they kept management on staff like furloughed maybe for like 4 4 weeks we closed all the way down. Maybe
Okay.
more. And then it was, like, slowly people got called back, and I don't know if
Mhm.
what position you were in, but just, like, the anxiety because you're being like, "I really wanna go back to work," and then, like, one restaurant gets called back, and you're like, "Okay, when are we gonna get called back?" And it was just so stupid.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was very confusing time. The restaurant I was working at the time closed down just the minimum amount of time. Like I think the second that Texas said you could do to goes, we like opened right back up. So I didn't really get that period of time.
yeah.
What was that like for you? Like I can't imagine like 4 weeks without
I know,
were
right?
you going crazy?
I know when I think about it now, I'm like, "How did I not go crazy?"
Yeah.
I think I started baking bagels at
That's a
home.
very Baker thing to do. Like
I
just
know, that's,
let's do
like,
the most complicated thing. Let's make pretzels and bagels and yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I made ba I me and my friend, we flew to San Diego and, like, stayed there for, like, 8 days because 'cause we're like, "Why not?" Which was also like, flying on an airplane, I remember that being so scary.
Oh yeah.
It was fine. There's no traffic, I could just bike around in the middle of the street, it was great.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Everything
great.
being totally empty. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean
you stayed through the to goes and stuff?
yeah, then we reopened, we did to-goes and, like, all of the things and,
Yeah.
did, like at first it was like I remember the first dessert I put on that was to go, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can make a dessert and put it in a pint cup and send it home with people," and I was like thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, really? What was it?
It was just like a trifle when I was like, I could just send someone home with like a pre-made trifle in a deli. I don't it was like, after not working for 4 weeks, like everything's great.
This is incredible. I get to cook
Yeah, I was
again.
like, "This is
Yeah.
awesome."
Yeah.
We did like I think I made bagels there. We would do bagels on weekends. 'Cause it was just also like a creative time, where it's like just throw anything at the wall and see if it lands. And people
Yeah,
were
for sure.
buying stuff because they were bored.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
people buying anything they can get their hands on.
anything.
Yeah, yeah. To go alcohol and stuff. Did you guys do that too? Yeah.
Yes, we did that. Yeah.
Okay.
To go yeah, we did
Yeah.
like like the bottle of tequila with like mixer and all of that. And
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
God,
we
I
weren't
crave
allowed to do that here, but
You weren't?
you what? No,
I thought they just
you had to mix them and then you could sell them. You couldn't sell a bottle of booze though.
Really?
Yeah. Texas is
That's
really weird about booze. Yeah, it's really strange.
I feel like that's surprising. I feel like with in my perception, would that be in Texas, like anything fucking goes.
No, 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 no. You can't even buy alcohol. You can't buy like anything higher proof than wine on Sundays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no
So,
liquor
like,
sales on Sundays. Yeah, it's like puritanical and shit. Yeah.
it was like that in Boston too, but I thought that was just because it's, like, literally Puritan land.
Yeah.
But I guess
Yeah.
Texas too. That's surprising.
Yeah, it's really, really weird.
Yeah.
Um, so how long did you end up doing the to-goes and stuff? And also, did you find that to be annoying in how long it went on? Because I was like, when are we gotta move
Just
on
do
from here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I got annoyed with, like, the to-go it was, like honestly, it was kind of fun for a while because it was, like, I would do these, like, pastry boxes on weekends, and I would just change the flavor every week. But it also got tiring because it was like we didn't have enough staff, and then you're just like overworking yourself. But then there's also nothing to do
Oh, yeah.
outside of work because everything's shut down.
Yeah, like, might as well work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least you're like around people. So I think what mostly just got frustrating was that like just the infrastructure of like the restaurant, and it was just none of it was you're just like making things up all the time. Everything's changing, and it was just exhausting.
Yeah,
Um,
that is incredibly exhausting. Yeah, having to come up with desserts and stuff all the time.
Yeah, and it's cool, like, it was a chance to be creative, but then it was just, like, and then restaurants are just trying all these different ways to, like, make money, and
Oh yeah.
it's it was just, like, it was too much pivoting for to be an honest.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can imagine. I mean, a place like that, which is reliant on constant diners and customers. Like if you're doing 300 covers and then there's nothing, it's like it must be terrifying to like not have like an unsure business. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Oh, yeah, I mean, as a operator too, I'm like, because I'm sure, like, we were frustrated for our reasons, but, like, for the owners and, like, seeing what was happening and having this huge empty building that's, like, who
Yeah,
knows when it's gonna be filled again, like, I'm sure for them it was, like, a whole 'nother level of stress and all of that.
yeah. Did you get to see any of that, or did they kind of keep you the
Yeah,
management of it?
definitely, and I think that was part of the reason I left because it was just, like, I don't know if anyone knew how to respond, but,
Yeah,
there was really no right answers, and that's the hard thing, and then there was just people getting, like,
yeah,
laid off constantly, and it was just, like, not. But again, there was just, like, no template for how you're supposed to react to that situation, so I
yeah.
can't
Exactly.
complain,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Where'd you end up going after that?
so after that, my friend he was the chef at Publican, he had started work he knew the guys who own this restaurant, coffee, like a coffee roaster called Metric, and they had wanted to, like, for a while, they had wanted to start a food program, and so he was, like, working at another place, but he, as during the pandemic did, was just like, "Hey, I'll help you guys do this." So then he had started making donuts with them,
Okay.
and he was like, "Hey, you should come on and just do this, and, like, you can add more pastries and stuff." So then we started this, like, little bakery called Bright, and it was 4 of us, and we started with donuts, and then I came on and we, like, bought a sheeter and added some laminated stuff, and we just did breakfast pastries for this coffee shop, and
In
it actually
Chicago?
still exists. Yeah, in Chicago. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you part owner of that, or did you just kind of
No.
help open it? No.
Yeah, we just helped open it, yeah, which was, in the end, far better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long, it was, like, 9 months maybe, and then I moved
Were
to
you
LA.
looking for something a little more chill after Publican?
I don't even know what I was thinking. I don't really know. I really don't. I think I was just like, I could not handle Publican anymore, and
Yeah.
I just been there for long enough, and then mixed with pandemic, it was just, like, too much. Yeah, so then this, like, I think it was more just that Bright kind of, like, was an opportunity,
Okay.
and, like,
Yeah.
I had been really into breakfast pastries, and I was like, "Okay, I'll just pursue this, and this seems like a fun thing to do with my friend."
Mhm.
Um, but it ended up being just not, like, sustainable, and it wasn't. I like restaurants, and it was really cold. So
Yeah,
I couldn't, like.
Chicago's insanely cold.
Oh, man, that winter was rough. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
very snowy, very pandemic-y winter.
Oh,
Um,
shit. Yeah.
yeah,
So you
and
had
then
it, you're like, "I'm going to LA,"
yeah.
where the Yeah. Did you choose LA before you chose, a restaurant, or did you just
No, yeah,
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 you chose LA first?
it was LA. Yeah,
Okay.
it was LA.
Just 'cause of the weather?
Yeah, my sister lived here. My
Okay.
family's from California. Like, it was like, okay, I want somewhere warm. I want somewhere that's, like, not really too far south or, like, culturally shocking to me. Um, and
Yeah.
it was just easy and warm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you start staging when you got here or
I
looking for jobs?
I just what did I do? I think I just, like, sent out a few emails, and I Paul Kahn, who's, publican, I talked to Paul, and he put me in touch with Suzanne Goen and was like, "You should just give her a call, and she can maybe, like, help you out." So I talked to her, and I think she, like, put out a word in a few places. And
Mhm.
so I, like, just set up 3 stages and flew out and did the stages, and yeah, and then flew back. I did the stages, found an apartment, flew back to Chicago, and then, like, a month later moved out.
Where were the 3 stages at?
I staged at Rustic with Andy. I know you know him.
Yes, yeah.
And I staged at Naka.
And Naka, I don't know that place.
It's Nikki Nakayama. It's a Japanese tasting
Names.
menu, small place. Um,
Okay.
and then I staged at Destroyer, which is Jordan Kahn's like
Yeah.
daytime
Okay.
sort of spot cafe thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Did
and
you hand select those restaurants, or like you said, did you sort of get the references and then go from there?
Rustic was like I just reached out and was like, "Hey," they didn't. I kind of knew they didn't have a pastry person, and so I
Oh,
was like,
interesting.
"Hi, I
Okay.
would like to work with you. I'm wondering if you're hiring a pastry chef."
Okay.
And Andy was like, "Hey, just so happens we like are considering it, so come on in."
What were they
Um,
doing before that? Were they just doing it all themselves, or?
yeah, Andy and
Oh,
Nestor is a sous chef. We're doing the
mhm.
pastries.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so that was really lucky. And Naka I think had a job posted on Culinary Agents, so I think that's why how that one happened. And then I think Destroyer too. Yes,
Okay.
like reached out through that. Yeah,
What made you choose Rustic then?
it's just perfect.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like went and it was
Good.
like it's like the kitchen's falling apart, the team's small. It's
What do you
like
mean?
it's just like
What do
all
you
these things
mean?
that I was like, "Oh, I can totally just like slide right in here." Like I feel at home with all of these things, you know, and Andy's
Okay. Yeah.
the most brilliant person ever. And then like Nestor's just like pulling off all these jars of weird fermented things for me to taste from like who knows when. And it was just like
Yeah.
sensory overload. And there were the kiwis on the menu because kiwis were growing at the time. And I was like, this is wild. I just came
That's
from
amazing.
Chicago. It was just great.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this must have been what, 2022 or 21
I
or
think
something like that?
21, I think.
Okay.
I think 21. Yeah,
Okay.
21.
Yeah. So what was your experience like there at first? Was it a huge culture shift coming from Chicago and that dining scene? From what little I know about the Chicago dining scene, it seems very insular. A lot of people kind of move around to the same restaurants and then it's very intense. That's what I was told.
Yeah. I mean, I think in some places, yes. I think I don't know. I love Chicago. I think it's like one of the best cities, and if it was warm all year round, I would live there forever. Um,
Same, yeah.
and like the cooks are there's like community, and the cooks are well, yeah, the cooks are pretty like dedicated, and they care
Yeah.
about cooking.
Mhm.
You are right though. There's a lot of like movement within the restaurant community.
Yeah.
Um, I think LA, yeah, it was. I mean, Rustic Canyon was like my dream job of my entire life. Is how I feel. It was like the
Oh, that's
best
amazing.
experience I've ever had, and like from day
Mhm.
one, it was just perfect. So yeah,
That's amazing.
it was like so stimulating. Like Andy's an incredible leader. There was like two like the sous chef and the junior sous were just like supportive and creative and like worked hard and it was just like you're tasting new things all the time and like learning and the produce is amazing and it was just great.
Yeah, the produce there is absolutely incredible. Like we reference on vegetables all the time, but produce in Texas is trash. So it's like we
Is
have to
it?
find all these workarounds. It's so bad. It's really,
It's
really bad. I mean, compared to any other produce in the country, it's terrible. And then compared to California or Michigan, it's like dirt. It's nothing. It's so bad.
that's so
So we
unfortunate.
it is very unfortunate, yeah, but so we're not able to do, like, the sort of fresh things that Rustic was able to do, but, I mean, the fermentation stuff that, Rustic was doing is I mean, it's, like, top tier creative and, like, exciting and yeah. Were you a pastry chef there or just, helping with the pastry, program?
I was pastry chef, yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
How much freedom did you have there as far as creating?
Andy let me do like whatever I wanted. It was
That's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
I remember when I started, he sat me down. He's like, "Well, if you want this job, we're like, I'll kind of let you do whatever you want." He's like, "The most that will happen is I like bring home a squishy flat of peaches from the market and like ask you to do something with them." And I'm like, "Okay."
So
So
you
it Yeah.
Yeah. So did you just get to choose whatever you like, produce and like all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Whatever I
That's
wanted. And it's
incredible.
like,
Yeah, that does sound like a dream job.
it was a dream. And
Yeah.
like the best farmers market in LA is on Wednesdays in Santa Monica, and
Yes.
literally
It's
6
incredible.
blocks from the restaurant. So like every week
Wow.
just bike, and I would just like bike over to work with like all this stuff in my backpack, and then it was, yeah, it was great. And
Yeah.
then the cool thing about Rustic, I think, was that like it's fun to make your own food and to do whatever you want, but I mean, I
Mhm.
love having like outside stimulus and input. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of like, oh, this dish, like I would taste Annie on something, like, oh, this dish could use something. And he would just like go find some ingredient and we would use that and it would like finish the dish, you know? And so
That's
like that's
amazing.
why I learned how to like work with a larder and pull from different other things besides like just what you can make. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
fermented whatever. I remember I did this like little composed scoop, and then Andy had these like black green mandarins from like last year or something, and he like went to go find them and we like grated it over and it was like perfect.
Oh, wow.
So it's just cool to have, it's like that's a flavor that you couldn't just make,
Yeah.
you know,
Y
as a
yeah, of
component.
course.
So yeah.
Yeah, was that your first time working with, like, a larder and that amount of fermentation and really?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I feel like it is the way to work. Like, I'm kinda the same way. I don't really conceptualize things, well, I don't know how you are, but, I don't really I can, like, conceptualize something, but then so much better once you have, like, a larder to work with and things that,
Oh yeah.
like you said, are so specific and you can't get, those flavors from anywhere else,
Exactly.
and it elevates everything to a degree that you could never get otherwise.
Exactly. No, it's so
Yeah,
true. And it's like, yeah, it makes your own life easier because you're like, oh, I just have to pull this thing off the shelf.
exactly, yeah.
And it also makes like, when you have, for example, whatever, I'm like working with citrus right now. So all I can think of is I have this like all these citrus peels. And it's like if you properly preserve them or do something with them, it just makes your life like you don't have to worry about throwing it away and you don't have to worry about using it at the moment. So it makes
Mhm.
your life easier on like so many other levels too.
Yeah.
You can
Is that
store.
is that how you sort of work, or I guess maybe how you work now is like you have a thing that you're concentrating on, and then you build the dish from there? Or do you have something that's conceptualized and you sort of try to fit something into it?
For when I'm thinking of like an actual dessert,
Mhm. Yeah.
I usually start. I It depends. It kind of depends on like where I'm developing. At Rustic, it was a lot of like it was always just pick a produce
Oh, interesting. Okay.
and start from there. Yeah,
Okay.
but like
Yeah.
now I'm at a place where sometimes I'll pick like a just I guess this is a random example, but like if I was like, oh, I want to make a cream puff dessert,
Mhm.
then I'll pick that and then like pick a produce that I also want to work on and like kind of like figure out where they meet.
Okay.
If that
So
makes
you
sense.
you never at yeah, for sure. You never at Rustic, you never had like scraps or sort of waste product that you sort of would try to fit into a
Oh,
dessert? Or
I see what you mean.
yeah. Yeah.
That would happen more. I definitely did do that, and it would happen more with when I didn't have a produce that I knew. Like in the winter, that would happen a lot,
Okay.
or whenever I wanted to do a chocolate dessert, that would usually happen.
Why specifically chocolate?
Um, yeah, that like obviously, obviously you know that. We had to keep a chocolate dessert on. I'm like terrible with chocolate. I really struggle to create chocolate desserts. Um, and so usually that would give me like an inspiration point of like,
Okay.
okay,
So
what like I have chocolate. I need something else to like figure out what this is going to be focused on. Okay, we had this like Andy. This is actually funny. Someone dropped off like a ton of cake one day for us. I don't know why at the restaurant, chocolate cake,
okay.
and so Andy made
Okay.
miso out of it. Um, I know.
How did that turn out?
It was awesome. But so then I made this
That's
like
amazing.
chocolate zucchini miso chocolate dessert off of base because I had all this chocolate cake miso.
That's
So
fucking
there's an example of
incredible.
that. Yeah.
Wow. How
Yeah.
did
It
that
was cool.
how did that taste? Did that go over well? Or did you
Yeah,
just
it was
cut
great.
fingers? Yeah.
It was like pasty sort of Nutella-y texture, but obviously there's no nuts in it. But I remember he did
Mhm.
like a very short fermentation because he was worried because there's like the eggs were
Fat.
baked, but there's eggs in the cake. and so he didn't
Hmm.
want to leave it out. I don't know. But yeah, it was delicious. It tasted like chocolate cake miso.
Yeah. How did the dessert go over? Did you tell people there was chocolate cake miso in it?
I don't remember. I don't think so. It's actually funny because I went back to Rustic like a couple weeks ago, and the bartender there, I'm still like very good friends with him, but he like showed me this
Mhm.
menu. He like gave me a dessert menu and I read it and I was like, what is this? This is like so stupid. There's like no descriptions of anything. I was like, is this really what you're serving? He's like, that's your menu, Erica, from like a year ago. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Um, so I don't think I was like a very minimal descriptions, but it was good. It was great. It was like puff pastry and like zucchini and like the miso stuff that I made. I actually made it into like a more Nutella-y kind of thing. Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, people like chocolate, so of course it's sold.
Yeah, of course you can put chocolate on anything. People will buy it. Yeah, right.
Literally, yeah, yeah,
So, what was it like working with Jeremy? He's such a quiet person. Like,
yeah,
I think he just lets his. I don't know. You can tell me if this is wrong or right, but from my perspective, he just lets his team kind of speak for the restaurant and for him. Like the only time he really talks is when he seems like he's posting on Instagram and like offering knowledge and advice to people who he
yeah,
doesn't even know. He seems like a
yeah.
really great guy. Yeah.
He is great. I have only positive things to say about him, honestly. He was not when Andy was there, he was like really, really not present. He like very much handed over the reins to Andy and let him do his thing and like did
It's
not want
amazing.
to like be in his bubble. But then after Andy left, that's when Jeremy kind of stepped in more, which was obviously I'd never wanted Andy to leave, but it was cool for me because it actually gave me an opportunity to work with Jeremy.
Mhm.
So supportive, great feedback. Um, yeah, just like a really like also like some cool I'm trying to think of like examples of exact advice, but I do remember a few times he would taste my desserts and he would say something and I was like, "Oh, this is why you're Jeremy Fox." Like an edit, you know what I mean, or some way of like
Yeah.
tweaking the dessert. And I was like
Yeah.
very like good with feedback, which was that's all you want.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's good to hear. So when Andy left, was there any sort of because like you said, like Andy kind of was driving the ship there for a bit. Was there any sort of trepidation or anything like that? Or was it just like, okay, well, Andy, go do your thing, or this is the next evolution of the restaurant? Forgot who the new chef is, but
It's
did
Jeremy.
that oh, Jeremy is the chef now. Oh, okay. All
He's
right.
the chef now, yeah. So he's like I don't think he
Wow.
ever wanted to be the chef there again. Maybe he's good, but
Yeah.
he's back in the kitchen now.
Wow. So
Yeah.
well, I'm interested in your perspective on this because it seems you've been at a lot of really high end restaurants and also seen a lot of different turns. Like, I'm fascinated by this idea that, like, I mean, if you look at any restaurant, especially great restaurants, there's like a moment, there's like eras of a restaurant, right? And then, like,
Totally.
that person, that driving force leaves. And then hopefully, you know, most of the cooks don't leave, but sometimes they do. And then maybe the restaurant will get its feet again or not. You know what I mean? Have
Mhm.
you noticed that like with restaurants that you've been at? And I guess what's your perspective on that? Because it seems like, a place like Rustic or a place like Publican, right? They're always going to be there, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So how does a place like that change and still like stay itself, you know what I mean?
And relevant.
And relevant, yeah.
Yeah. It does I mean, I think that's I have perspective on it, but it's also just like that's just the question that I think everyone will ask themselves forever, right? Like
Yeah.
I now we're at a point where I wonder if restaurants can have that many iterations of themselves or if they kind of have one and then they just like are restaurants made to last forever? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
It
I
just
think there's yeah, it is really sad, but I mean, kind of yeah, it's like when a band plays too long, kind of.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when the
Yeah.
Rolling Stones get out and you're like, guys, just give it a break.
Yeah, cool like
Um,
pull your head.
yeah, yeah, but at the same time, it's also great when you see the old restaurant like get some real revitalization, right? Somebody might come in and totally change the game again and
Completely agree.
make it a new thing. So it is interesting.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's all I mean, everything that we do, it's all the people, right? Like, if you
Mhm.
have the right person to run anything and, like, they can inspire other people to work under them, and then they can rebuild anything. I
Yeah.
think I think with something like it also has to do with, like the concept of the restaurant and like what it can support. Just for example, when you say
True.
Publican, like Publican was built, it started with a team of basically everyone now is like a chef. And
Oh
they
yeah.
would come in from the market every single day, change the menu. They like often a lot of the dishes had not been tasted before. Like they would make them for service.
Wow.
And like a
Yeah.
lot of the dishes they would just like keep tweaking as they were on the menu.
Yeah.
But it was like ridiculous, like a 30 item menu and everything's changing every day. I don't know
That's
how it, but
crazy.
like a place like that can only really work if you have, seven cooks who are all like extremely skilled and like
Yeah.
in what we
And they're
live in now.
all invested. Yeah.
Yeah, and like and able to like taste things properly and make sure they taste
Hmm.
well without having to follow a recipe, which is
Hmm.
yeah, now like with what labor is and like what the talent pool is, like that's just never gonna happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. I really hope that. Um, I feel like I've said this before, but I feel like things have kind of gotten a little static. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's like I feel like this is the time before a person like David Chang when he first like wrote Momofuku and like all that shit blew up. I feel like we're at that point right now. Like I feel like somebody's gonna come out of the woodwork and just like blow shit up, and it's gonna be a whole new thing again. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like I was actually just talking to my friend about this last night, and it was like it takes some time to rebuild, and we're
Yeah.
like 2 years out of pandemic now, and like after
Yeah.
like all the bad stuff, and I think that like yeah, you're right. I think that we something great's about to happen, and like things are about to change, and I don't know
Hmm.
what it is, but I think the rest of the industry, I think, will go upwards. I hope.
I think so too. Yeah. It's hard. It's so hard to imagine that we're only like 2 years out of like the pandemic for most people has been done for a while, right? Because
Yeah,
but for restaurants, we're still just recovering.
yeah.
Yeah, the restaurant that I work at was just bought by somebody else because they couldn't recover from the pandemic. They were just like, we're done with this. Like, we just can't do this anymore. So we're gonna sell it. So like that was just last June. So
Yeah,
we're
so
still
recent.
just recovering. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is good.
but
You're right, though. Like the flip side of that is like it's hopeful.
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Feel like to give Andy and Tiff some praise. I've said this multiple times, but I think what they're doing is like a whole new direction, and I can already see people like copying it, and I'm like, okay, it's starting to happen a little bit.
yeah,
They're
totally.
driving things, and it's amazing. So I think we're definitely on an upward trajectory in some way.
That's good. No, I need the
Yeah.
pause. I agree. I agree. I
Okay.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah. There's inklings of stuff. Um, yeah. So you ended up leaving Rustic, and why did you choose Dunsmore? Is it right?
Yeah, I actually did an intermediate little time at Cato,
Cato. Okay.
which
I'm not
is
familiar with
it's
that place.
John Yao's restaurant. It's like a Taiwanese American tasting menu.
Okay.
He had through a friend, they were like decided they were gonna hire a pastry person
Hmm.
and reached out to me, and I didn't really know I wanted to leave Rustic at the time, and then it ended up I really did. So then I did that whole thing. Um, and so he took me on as like a sous chef to do pastry, which was sort of a step down, but I thought it was what I really wanted at the time, and it was
Hmm.
a learning experience. It was
Okay.
I'm still friends with John. He's great. I still like really love the people there, but it just wasn't for me for a lot of reasons. So then I
Yeah.
came to Dunsmore because that was like I think like a large correction from what I needed at Cato, which was just like creative freedom and to do like desserts that I know that like are more my style and taste good and to be around people and have work life balance and
Yeah.
um yeah. And it's been great. It's fun. It's like we don't use plug-in equipment. We have a French top and an oven, but I know.
That's crazy.
So
Okay.
that's been really cool, and like I've learned a lot about how to bake better, to be honest.
Yeah.
um And I've like Brian Dunsmore, he's the chef, is like very into history and like different American traditions. And so I've been able to like do some research on that and learn about some kind of, pastries and desserts that I didn't know about. So it's been, and the people are so nice. It's just like a great place to work.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. It looks the desserts you post are like, it's like you said, it's American traditional. I could see like some like American identity in it, but it looks very, fine dining in a good way. Like it's taking the traditions and then moving it forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks really, really cool. So how long have you been there?
I started in June.
Oh, last year. Okay. So, wow. So it seems it's still pretty new, kind of.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's kind of new. I'm actually leaving next month though.
Oh, you're
Uh,
like permanently?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I don't know if this is like, it's not technically public knowledge, but I'm moving to Nashville to
Oh,
be with
wow.
Andy and Tiff,
No fucking way. Okay.
and we're gonna take over the catbird seat.
Oh shit. For a while or
It's they do 2 to 3 year residencies.
no
Um,
fucking way. That's great.
yeah, so they just do 2 to 3 year contracts, and the chef who's currently there, his name is Brian Baxter. He's been there for like 4 years, I think, because of pandemic. So he took a
Mhm.
little bit of a longer thing. But they're moving the catbird seat to a brand new location, which is like it's gutted. It's got plumbing and electricity and all that right now, but it's empty. um,
Okay.
and we'll hopefully open in July. But we get to like open a brand new space.
That's incredible. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a brand new catbird seat. Wow. That's
So
incredible.
yeah, they're moving the Catbird seat and the Patterson House, which is the bar next to Catbird seat.
Hmm.
They're like completely shutting those down, moving to this.
Hmm.
Both are moving to this new location. So we'll do food for both. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's just maybe a residency and you don't know how long or what's going to be like.
Yeah, it's 2 to 3 years. So
That's
I don't
that's cool.
know.
You're like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they're like the restaurant group seems pretty amazing. They kind of just let you be creative and like they're like, we'll never tell you what food to put on, and
Yeah.
but they give you like support and yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Catbird Seat. The one opportunity I had to go there, I did not have any money, and there was no way I could eat there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anytime somebody goes to Nashville, they eat there that I know, and I'll say it's the best meal in Nashville. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, so are you nervous or excited at all? Are you nervous to be in the South? Because earlier you said that you didn't want to go anywhere that was too much of a culture shock. Nashville is
Yeah.
very Southern, even though it's kind of not. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very Southern. I was nervous, and then I went and visited Andy and Tiff because they bought a house there. They're living there now. I
Hmm.
visited them like a month ago,
Hmm.
and had like the best time. And I'm just fully 100% excited. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Did you get to eat at Catbird Seat while you were there?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
super
Yeah. Okay.
interesting. Like you know, I would say like not all the dishes were like this is the best thing I've ever had, but every single dish I was like I had a question about.
Hmm.
And it was like all interesting and like things I hadn't tried, like tasted, like combinations of things I hadn't tasted before. It was really cool.
Hmm. Wow. That's amazing. Well, that's good news for me because Nashville's like a drive away from me. So I can
Yeah, you gotta come
I
visit
can
now.
definitely yeah, definitely 100%. Yeah, Nashville's becoming like very quickly becoming a like fine dining capital. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, Andy and Tiff just went to June like a couple weeks ago, and they said
mhm.
Andy said it was the best meal he's had in memory. I was like,
Wow,
okay, that's
that's
a
incredible.
lot. Yeah,
Oh, that's very big words.
yeah,
Wow. All right. Well, I was going to ask you what's next for you and your future, but it sounds like you got some exciting things ahead. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
That's what's
Well,
happening.
yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk. I have to go off to work, so I gotta
Yeah.
cut this short. But yeah.
Thank
All right. Well, thanks, Erica. I really appreciate you coming on and
you.
talking. Yeah.
Of course, thank you. And then yeah, come
Yeah.
visit us in Nashville too.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool.